All right, guys, I want you to take a look at this chart. The S&P 500 has failed a major technical level here. This is not a surprise as we've been monitoring this level for months. If you're a fan of this channel, you know that. And instead of shorting the market haphazardly, we actually waited patiently until this exact level was hit before opening up our shorts. So in this edition of TA Tuesdays, we will go over the S&P 500 chart. I will show you why there is a dangerous correlation between the S&P 500 and the VIX, which was trading at an abnormally low level. However, this has happened every single time that the S&P 500 has actually hit this trend line this year. So we also bought calls on the VIX. I will go over my trades towards the end of the video, and then we'll go over what Jamie Dimon just said. Jamie Dimon actually said the quiet part out loud. He was talking specifically about the Fed quantitative tightening and rolling assets off of the balance sheet. As you may know, we covered the history of quantitative tightening on this channel, and needless to say, there is really not much history at all because we've never actually done quantitative tightening. So let's get into the technicals, what Jamie Dimon said, and then we'll get into the trades. Short story is, I think we have a lot more downside in 2023. Let's get right into it. So the S&P 500 hit this trend line, a trend line that it had established on the daily chart since January. And it hit this trend line once again, along with confluence of the golden pocket, which is a level on the Fibonacci where we normally see either support or resistance. Now, this coincided with news that the ISM service sector index has actually climbed, showing a stronger than thought economy. Also, wages have gone up as well, which is something that the Fed does not want at this moment because they actually want to stop hiking interest rates. The more that you hike interest rates, the faster that you hike interest rates, the higher a chance of something breaking. And they're going to keep hiking interest rates until the economy slows, until unemployment goes up, which in turn will lead to lower spending and hopefully lower prices. This is their hope. So they actually want to stop hiking when they can, as soon as possible. But if we keep getting strong economic indicators, that means their job will be a lot more difficult. So when technicals and fundamentals align, that is really the perfect storm. So not only are we looking for confluences on the technical side, but if that can also match up with a confluence indication on the fundamental side, that makes for a much stronger trade. Also, if we line this up with the VIX, here we have the VIX on the right side and the S&P on the left side, you can see that they are making almost an exact opposite trend. And every time that the S&P has hit this trend line here, this downtrend, you see that the VIX has actually hit this trend line going up. This is also why we bought VIX calls in conjunction with shorting the S&P 500 through credit call spreads. I sent all of these trades out in the Academy. If you want access to all of our trades, the day trading course, the options course, the chat with thousands of traders, the Zoom calls with me, we're doing a mastermind this weekend as well as next weekend. We're going to be going over how to draw supply and demand zones, the advantages and disadvantages of zero DTE options, how to pick options expiration dates, and an introduction to futures. All of this will be jam-packed into the next mastermind. So if you want access to all of that, click the link below, book a call with our team, and they will get you set up as soon as possible. Now, one more thing I will say about the VIX here. This is not when you want to buy stocks. In general, you want to buy stocks when the VIX is high, when there is a high fear index. Right now, this is a low fear index, meaning, especially on an uptrend like this, meaning that there is likely to be an increasing fear going forward, and an increasing fear going forward actually decreases the value of stocks. As investors exit the market, in my last video, I was telling you that there were $8 billion outflows in the stock market, specifically in the stock market indices. But remember, December 13th, we actually have the CPI data coming out for November. Is it going to be higher? Are we going to see a trend where CPI is actually starting to drop? Because if we don't see a trend established from the last CPI, which showed a lower than expected CPI, if we're not seeing a downtrend, that is going to be a huge red flag for the markets. And the Fed on December 14th, which is the very next day, will likely come in and do another 75 basis point rate hike. Right now, it is expected that they do 50. Jerome Powell already hinted when they were speaking at the not the Bilderberg Group. What's the other secret society? The Brookings Institute. He was speaking at the Brookings Institute, and he actually said that they are expecting a potential slowdown in December. Now, obviously, That was before we had these strong wage numbers coming out. That was before ISM service sector index showed an increase. And that is before CPI comes out on December 13th. However, if CPI comes in much lower than expected, then the Fed will likely do that 50 basis point rate hike and not go with 75. And by the way, if they do that, we can actually get a retest of this trend line on the S&P 500, depending on what the CPI looks like and depending on what the Fed actually says on December 14th. But if the CPI comes in line or higher than expected, expect us to not only test these lows from October, but eventually go back to the pre-COVID highs very soon, actually, within the next few months. In general, I do expect 2023 to be pretty choppy, and I do expect, at least for the first half of 2023, we will likely see a downtrend. That is obviously barring a major decline in CPI. The Fed is going to keep having to push the federal funds rate until it is above CPI. This is something that they had to do aggressively in the 80s as well. That was the only way that inflation came down. That is why Bullard hinted at a potential 7% terminal rate. Also historically significant, the 10-year 3-month Treasury yield curve, has never been this inverted in history. This is lower than the 80s. This is lower than the dot-com crash. This is lower than the 2008 financial crisis. This is where the 3-month actually pays a higher yield than the 10-year because the bond market tends to break when the Fed is aggressively hiking interest rates and inflation is historically high. Investors want to lock in their money for a lot longer, and so they are buying longer dated treasuries and ignoring the shorter dated ones. And that's how you get that inverted yield curve. Because if you don't spend money on treasuries, the yield continues to go up until it becomes attractive. So the 3-month actually has spiked while the 10-year has stagnated because of this effect. So that is why we have an inversion between the 10-year and 3-month, but this is the most inverted it has ever been. That is why on this channel, I continue to say during these times that the bond market is actually broken. We've never seen a bond market like this. So in my view, a recession is imminent and probably unavoidable. And history shows that is actually when the Fed pivots. The Fed does not pivot before the job is done. They've tried to prematurely stop raising rates in the early 80s. Inflation spiked right back up, and they had to come in again and then hike that sucker up to 20% on the federal funds rate. I'm not saying we'll get to 20% now. Times are different. However, the Fed always pivots when they're in a rate hiking cycle, when the job is done and the economic indicators are showing an actual recession. You see Fed pivots here. You see what that does to the 2-year Treasury yield. That's why I said this is going to be one of the easiest trades in my book, to actually long the 2-year Treasury futures. But also you see that the S&P 500, which is here in red, tends to tank after the Fed pivots because the Fed only pivots when things become bad. The Fed is not going to pivot here. And a pivot means that the Fed will actually stop hiking and likely cut interest rates. So we're very far away from that. And it will take CPI after CPI to showcase that inflation is actually heading towards their 2% target. And lastly, if we take a look at the consumer confidence index minus the consumer sentiment index, we're still near highs here. This is nowhere near recession territory. During recessions, we tend to see this tanking. So once we hit a recession, which should come in 2023 based on historical data on when recessions come after a yield curve, after we get yield curve inversions, then you should start to see the consumer confidence index and the consumer sentiment index tank. And obviously, when this happens, this will likely have a drastic effect on company earnings as well. So I do see a decline on stocks that have really held up pretty resiliently so far, such as Apple. Now, before we get into the juicy trades and what Jamie Dimon said, I will say this: is there a possibility for a soft landing? And in my case, in my view, there's only really one miraculous scenario in which we have a soft landing, and that is where inflation just starts to tank magically and it goes from 7% to 5% to 4%. In that case, the Fed will likely just keep rates where they are until inflation actually gets to 2%, and we will likely not see a huge economic impact. But historically speaking, this is extremely implausible and improbable, really. Is it possible? Sure, but implausible. At the end of the day, I'm not Nostradamus, so we'll see if this time is different. But until then, I'm going to keep trading and continue to take profits as long as the trend is still alive. All right, let's get into what Jamie Dimon just said.
I think that you have to look at the other risk we have is quantitative tightening. We've never had it before, ever in the lifetime of mankind. So I look at that as something we should be quite concerned about. And, the suppression of the 10-year bond rate has been going on for 20 years, and it can't really be suppressed anymore. And, QT has just started, so it's very possible. And if you have like 2% on inflation, you should have a 4% bond today. So I don't look at this like it's got to go get better than here. Obviously, it's a risk on trade. But that mindset may change if inflation sticks around a little bit longer.
So Jamie Dimon said the quiet part out loud. He said that we've never tried quantitative tightening. A lot of times you'll hear pundits or even the Fed talk about quantitative tightening as if it's something that's routine, as if it's something that, we know the effects of. However, take a look at quantitative tightening just on Wikipedia. It says QT has never been done before on a massive scale, and its consequences have yet to materialize and be studied. In 2018, the Federal Reserve began retiring some of the debt on its balance sheet, beginning quantitative tightening. In 2019, a year after initiating QT, central banks, including the Federal Reserve, ended quantitative tightening due to negative market conditions occurring soon after. So again, the bond market is broken due to the very unique circumstances that we have with this inflation, due to the unique circumstances that we have money printed to the tune that we've never seen before. And now the Fed is raising rates aggressively and starting QT. So I think QT has to really be tracked, something that isn't really talked about. We keep talking about the federal funds rate, but nobody is really tracking QT. So we will be doing more of that on this channel for sure. So with all of that said, I don't see how we've hit at bottom here. I do think that in 2023, we will at least revisit the pre-COVID highs. It might be very messy because the data points are coming out every month. CPI is coming out every month. We have an FOMC meeting nearly every month. We have GDP coming out every quarter. So this stuff is really in flux. I do think it gets uglier before we do find a bottom. Now, in terms of trades, I've actually sent out a lot of these trades on Twitter. So follow me on Twitter and Instagram for daily finance and trading content. But I do have a credit call spread on NVIDIA. I sold the 165 call and bought the 175 call. This is a bearish position. And also on the SPY, which is up almost 40% now. Just basically looking at this exact trade, waiting for our conditions to be hit, and then going in heavy on this trade. And again, for those of you that are new to this channel, you might think that this is a new trade, but I've been looking at this for months. So we sold the 405 call and bought the 410 call. Again, this is a bearish credit call spread or a bear call spread. And like I said, I do have those VIX calls. I have the VIX 30 calls expiring in January. These are currently down 13%, but we have not yet seen a big move in the VIX. So I'm just going to hold them and see what rolls around for CPI and what rolls around for the FOMC meeting. That NVIDIA trade based on TA, we were at the top of the trend line once again, right around the golden pocket once again. But in this case, we had hidden bearish divergence between the price and the RSI. The RSI making higher highs and the price making lower highs. So we had an additional point of confluence, plus the fact that NVIDIA is up like 60-something% in a month's time. So, and we have a few other trades that we are looking at as well, Netflix being one of them. I sent that out on Twitter as well. If you look at this, almost same conditions, hit the top of the trend line at the golden pocket. To me, this is a very easy short because I'm not saying you're going to win on every single one of these shorts, but if you take optimal positions only, that means that your stop limit can be very close to your entry. And so if you end up being wrong, you minimize the damage. If you end up being right, you maximize your gains. So those are the types of trades you want to be in. Take less trades and more optimal trades. And this is something that we teach every single day in the academy. This is something that we really hone in on. All of the traders and analysts in there also follow suit. Even though we have different trading styles, this is the one constant. High probability trades take less trades, and that allows you to go in heavier and minimize the damage if you are wrong. Anyway, traders, that is it for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you got anything out of this video. Happy to see you guys here all the time. Leave it in the comment section below. Let me know if you think we're going to be in a recession, when you think it's going to be. Are you in cash? Are you short already? Did you take some of these trades with us? Whether you caught it on Twitter, Instagram, or you're part of the academy. If you want access to that mastermind, we are doing that this weekend. So if you're seeing this video before that, make sure you sign up, book a call with our team. They will take care of you. Subscribe to the channel. A lot of you that watch this aren't subscribed. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. Stay safe out there, traders. Peace.